What happens when you try all your favorite songs in a very good hi-fi sound system? Normally you would expect to be very happy, right? This is what happened today, but it took a different turn. Welcome to the Bast Audiophile with your host, the Bast, an audiophile. Today is the second part of my meeting with Loïc from HiFi Cave, a very good YouTuber, an audiophile with an extraordinary sound system. You're kindly invited to view the first part of our encounter and last episode, episode 88, on Loic's sound system. This is the second part. In today's episode, I play some of my favorite music in his incredibly resolute sound system. Let's see what happens. Too much hi-fi kills music.
Yes.
Do you mind if I challenge your system with some songs?
2%. Let me turn the amplifier back on.
I'll go with songs that I know by heart. I don't think my songs will challenge your sound system. I think your sound system will challenge my songs.
Interesting.
The whole audio change doesn't start with the CD or the streamer. The whole audio change starts with the microphone of the singer.
Yes.
And there's so many crap and mistakes that are done between the microphone of the singer and the streamer.
Yeah.
That's probably what I will discover with my songs that I... Can you go with Circles by Mac Miller? It's so resolute, they can hear that the production is...
Even if it's super resolute and you hear the problems, as long as you have a good balance of tone, it's enjoyable.
That's what it look like.
Your system is too good for that song.
Like, meaning like you wouldn't listen to this?
Draw circles.
What don't you like about it right now?
I feel there's too much compression in the production.
If we never listened to the tracks we listened to before this, so if you don't expose your ears and your brain to something that is recorded at such a high production value,
yeah,
and this is all we listen to, and other songs that are compressed, things that essentially sound good in the car, sound good, you wouldn't have as much of a disappreciation for what you're hearing now, because you're not comparing it to, holy crap, I just heard something that was like so open, so airy.
Yeah.
And now you go to something, and by the way, you're saying you're hearing the compression. I hear it too, but it's not that bad, the compression. I've heard way worse recordings than this one.
Yeah. Okay, can we try Street Spirit by Radiohead?
Yeah.
Next. Why next? Well, we can... Just on this one, I mean, the soundstage is thin compares to other songs like that you've played before.
But again, it's a matter of comparison, right? But did you, except for the soundstage, what else did you feel was wrong? So the last track, you said it sounded compressed.
Yeah.
What else was wrong with this one except for the soundstage?
Well, it was small. The production was small. Like I would have this song.
Feel grand and
yeah, I would have liked it to feel grand and take more room. Another one, the drummers of Burundi. What did you think of that one?
I'm actually going to put this into my library because I'm going to deep dive on that later. I've never heard them before.
Yeah, if you think you have rhythm, just try to follow the beat. It's really evolved.
It's are you familiar with Youssou N'Dour?
Youssou N'Dour, yeah.
And so that's it reminds me a little bit. So it's not just the drums, but like Youssou N'Dour, there's like 25 instruments on stage. Like there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Just one that is recent.
Yeah.
Lord Sco, the song Pimp Sucks.
Is that it?
Yeah. Again, it's the compression. Okay, last one. After that, I will It's called A Warning by Tivory Corporation.
Interesting that they're using distortion in a very particular way. Like it's not strong distortion, but there's a subtle, it's almost like it's applied on the bass track. Maybe I'm crazy, but
That one was more pleasant to listen on a good sound system.
Interesting.
I heard details that I've never heard before in the song.
Were they good details?
Yeah, they were good details. They were good details. I think that was a little bit more challenging for the sound system than the other ones, but
But I also want to have some kind of flexibility in my system where if I can flick a switch that says, okay, an audiophile recording sounds amazing, but now I don't want to listen to an audiophile recording. I want to listen to mono Rolling Stones from the 70s. I want to be able to flick a switch and that sounds good.
well, that's one of my discovery today is that there's a whole catalog that doesn't stand hi-fi.
No. And if you have a system that makes that catalog that's not hi-fi sound enjoyable, great, but you'll never get a sound, even regardless of the equipment you have, you'll never get that sound stage that the high-end recording gave you. You'll have a system that'll make you enjoy the music because you're not being distracted by all those problems. And some problems are revealed when you have that level of transparency that provides you that insane stereo imaging, the deep sound stage, that insane resolution. But I don't want more resolution. I want more presence in the room. I want to feel like a guitar is in the room. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I need to... I'll give you an example. I don't want to... If you have someone in a recording that's just sitting on a wooden chair and makes a little noise when they move, they're playing guitar and they're singing. And if the person moves a little bit and you hear that little noise, I don't want that noise to sound like, oh my God, what is that noise? What was that? No, I just want my brain to say, oh, he moved on the chair.
Yeah. You want
Because
the perfect reproduction.
If someone was sitting here playing and they move around, you'll hear the chair make that crack, but it's not going to stop you from enjoying the song.
Yeah. Because you decode it.
Yeah, your brain just knows what it is, and
It's a chair, it's not important.
if it's some exaggerated noise or detail, now your brain is distracted. Your brain is like, what was that? If you automatically don't know what was that and you're like, hey, I never heard that before. Yeah, but now you just lost 30 seconds of the music because you're trying to analyze what it is you just heard. I don't want that.
Okay.
I want resolution, but I want resolution to just immerse me into what I'm hearing. I still want my brain to focus on the guitar strings and the vocals of the singer. I want the song. I don't care that his chair makes a specific noise when he moves or that I hear the ventilation system. If I hear it, it just makes me feel like I'm there in the room with him. That's what I want. I want to feel like I'm there in the room.
But you want to be able to decode these small sounds.
Yes, but without having to analyze them.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, my taste of music has changed today.
You mean today? Because it changes all the time.
It changes all the time, but today it's the death of a whole bunch of songs, that cannot be listened to high-end sound systems.
let me clarify something. We're not saying that regular music sounds bad on hi-fi systems. Well, we are saying that, but you're watching a raw conversation, and some things that we say can seem very one-dimensional. It's just not that simple. So let me explain. Some recordings or songs simply don't have as much information, and don't think that there's anything wrong with that, because the world doesn't listen to music on high fidelity systems. So why bother adding all those layers of information into the music we listen to, like in our cars, on earbuds, and so on? So the tracks that Bastien played, I thought sounded great. Like in terms of dynamics, tonality, the energy, it was good music. It's when it was analyzed through an audiophile ear and system that it didn't have those layers of information. Layers that give that sense of presence, the spaciousness, the air around the instruments, and all that comes together and creates this three-dimensional soundstage. Sometimes remasters of songs can occasionally try and add some of those extra layers of magic. I guess it's possible if they're being remastered from the original source material, but I don't think that's always possible. And if a remaster is not done from the raw original master with all its original tracks, it's kind of like converting old movies like Terminator to 3D. It's never going to be really as good as the material that is built today for 3D, like, I don't know, like an Avatar film. So it creates, though, an interesting phenomenon. Some music sounds epic when heard live. The recordings that I listen to that are more, I guess, traditional, so not audiophile level of information, for example, Dave Matthews Band, Katy Perry, I have kids. Anyway, those two sound okay on my system. They sound punchy, they're dynamic, there's lots of energy. But when I saw them at a live show, however, it was crazy good. No comparison. On the other side of the spectrum, I've been listening to Melody Gardot on my sound system for years, and most of the recordings from Melody Gardot are crazy full of information. You feel the recording space. It's real. It's like I'm in the room in her private concert living room. Like it's full of emotion. Like I can feel her. Then I got to see her live on stage in a room with 6,000 people. It felt a little disconnected. There was no emotions. And parts of the room even sounded boomy, and her voice would lose all of its magic at times. But again, I was comparing. To peak experience in my system. So some peak experiences sound good on HiFi, some others don't. Anyway, back to the conversation.
Every song we played on your list, I found were very listenable. Whether they didn't have that level of airy soundstage, the presence probably wasn't as much there as some other recordings that we listened to. But like I said, if that's what I want to listen to, I'll come and listen to that. And I'm not going to put on a super audiophile recording at first to completely skew my hearing. Let's say this is my cousin's homemade wine, and my cousin's actually went to school. He done all, like, it's not made from powder. And he's very proud of it. And I'm sure it's great. But if I have a Morachet first, there might be a bit of a difference, and my palate will now no longer focus on this. It'll just focus on the contrast, because it's just about the differences. So I think for music, me, it's the same thing. If one night I want to listen to country music, I am not going to start my night by playing Patricia Barber or playing jazz that is ultra fancy recordings. No, I dive into old country recordings. If I want to listen to opera, I only listen to opera. I don't, because my ears will tune and get used to that. If you're going to eat sturgeon caviar one evening, you don't start your evening with a bite of peanut butter.
Right.
Like it's...
Or Indian food.
Yeah, perfect example. Yeah, you're not going to eat like vindaloo that is unbelievably spicy, and then as a post-meal treat, sturgeon caviar from the Caspian Sea. No, you're not gonna.
But it's true that if we haven't heard the music that you've put first, that was very, very audiophile friendly, the other songs might have not been that hard to listen to.
Because I don't find they were hard to listen to. I could tell the differences in terms of air, sound staging, like the audiophile jargon. Sure, I could find differences, but they didn't sound bad. They didn't sound bad to me. Like they weren't ear piercing, they weren't muddled, they weren't muffled. It didn't feel too bloated. It was fine. Was the soundstage different? Yeah, but who cares?
Yeah, they're mixed for a cell phone and cars.
Yeah, but I can still enjoy it. Yeah, some tracks I used to love based on what I thought. I thought the recordings were amazing.
Yeah.
Today, because of, I guess, the degree of transparency or resolute that comes out of my chain, now I listen to tracks I used to love, and they drive me crazy because, you know, every song is, as you know, like, right, there could be hundreds of tracks in the audio engineers that then he blends everything together. And these tracks are often recorded at different times, different days, hopefully in the same studio, hopefully, but I bet you sometimes there's subtle variations. And there are passages in the song that the noise floor of certain tracks were different. So it's like one day they were recording, it was very hot outside, the air conditioning was playing full, and there's a little frequency in the background.
Yeah, you hear it.
And you hear it, but you only hear it when that instrument kicks in. So it's like a tuk, 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 tuk. As that kicks in, I can hear, I'm like, there's like an air conditioning running in there. And as the tuk, tuk, tuk stops and that track rolls off,
Yeah.
then the air conditioning disappears. But I never heard that before this system.
Exactly. And that's, I think it's the biggest diminishing return of hi-fi. Is too much hi-fi kills music.
Yes.
Many music don't stand out.
No.
They become painful to hear.
Yeah, because you hear the problems.
You hear all the problems of the production.
Yes, absolutely right. We can discuss vinyl records also on that same topic, because the better your hi-fi chain is, the worse the bad pressings of
Vinyl
records will sound. So someone who buys a $50,000 turntable as their, hey, I won the lottery, or I got lots of money, and I have all these old records, I'm going to buy the best turntable because I'm fed up with my grandfather's old one. All of a sudden, all your old records, most of them, you can't even listen to them.
Yeah,
They sound thin, they sound hollow, they don't sound...
Yeah, but that's a problem.
Of course it's a problem.
You like, the more you advance in hi-fi, at one point there's like 10 records you can listen to, and after that the rest is like not enjoyable.
Yeah, I tried to back away from that as much as I can.
That's it, the real unsaid truth about hi-fi. It's a trap. The more expensive and good your sound system sounds, the less music you can listen. Are we more happy? I have mixed feelings about that one. On one side, I was thrilled to listen to a very nice sound system and experience music like I've never before. On the other hand, my music sounded dull and washed out. I don't know what to do for the future. What's the ideal sound system? Help me in the comments, please. Feel free to subscribe to HiFi Cave and the Bast Audiophile, and to join our Patreon to take part of the making of these videos. Until the next video, enjoy music, take care, and goodbye.